All right, good morning, everyone. I'm Todd Rufo, Director of the Office of Economic and Workforce Development. It's so great to have you all here today. So many members of the community, the nonprofit sector, as well as the city family. I want to particularly thank Sarah Wan, Director of CYC, for hosting us here today in the Richmond. We are here today to announce $2.7 million in grants that the Office of Economic and Workforce Development is providing to nonprofits, to 13 nonprofits throughout San Francisco. And in particular, we want to highlight one of those grants of more than $700,000 to CYC to help them acquire space here in the Richmond and create permanently affordable, permanently stabilized space so that they are not at risk of real estate displacement. Now, I want to go back to a moment where we all know that nonprofits who do great work in the city face some serious challenges, whether that's funding uncertainty from Washington or rising rents here in San Francisco. So that's why in 2015, Mayor Lee directed our office, OEWD, to create a comprehensive program to support nonprofits and ensure that they can stay and grow in San Francisco. We hired, for the first time ever, a dedicated sector manager who just focuses on nonprofits. But the mayor wanted to take it further, and so last year he included $3 million in our budget annually to launch this program to provide funding so that nonprofits can get into long-term leases or acquire their space. I'll let the mayor share more about why this program is so important and so significant in a moment. Following the mayor, we'll have your district supervisor, Supervisor Sandra Feuer, followed by Supervisor Jeff Shee from District 8, Sarah Wan from CYC, and then Joanna Lee from NCCLF, our nonprofit partner. Now, I can think of no person who is a stronger advocate for nonprofits than Mayor Lee, and his direction to our office has been consistent. Do what it takes to keep and grow the important nonprofits in our city that are so important to the soul of our neighborhoods, keep them in San Francisco, and do what it takes to help them succeed and grow. It's my honor to introduce Mayor Lee.
Thank you, Todd, and thank you for your work. It's a pleasure to be in your district, Supervisor Feuer. Thank you, thank you. You can talk today. Good, good. And of course, to be joined by my supervisor where I live, Supervisor Sheehy. Thank you very much for being here and being at one of our favorite nonprofits, and that's, of course, CYC. And thank you, Jane, also for being the head of the board as well, helping Sarah really be successful. You know, the role of nonprofits in the city of San Francisco was actually, in my opinion, born in the Summer of Love in the 1960s, when our city registered itself as the place of love and embracement of different cultures and populations. And quite frankly, it's that spirit that drew me to come live in San Francisco. And during that time, we proliferated nonprofits all over the city because we realized government couldn't do everything that the residents needed and wanted in every neighborhood of the city. And so we have today, for example, our police department, who couldn't possibly prevent crime and get safe neighborhoods just by themselves, that they depend upon our city's support for activities for young people, but also people who touch the criminal justice system, to get them diverted out from the justice system to places they can find work, to make sure we have programs that have alternatives to a life of crime. That helps them in their job. And that's just one example of why so many government departments are here. I see Tom Cagney with our art commission here because, quite frankly, art does not flourish itself in government. It actually is a partnership with talented, creative people all over the city that really define and create art, including our young people, as well as artists around the entire city. So these are just small examples, but when you think about the challenges of a city like San Francisco, helping to serve our seniors, helping improve life for our families, helping our young people make sure they have all the avenues to success, you're going to always have to think about the role of nonprofits. And that's why for the last 2 years, for the next 2 years, we're spending $1.2 billion to support our city's nonprofits. That's how valuable they are to the management of government, but also the programs that we want to have to enrich people's lives. And you think about it, whether it's open space, whether it's meals, whether it's counseling, whether it's the money that Supervisor Shi and I are thinking about making sure we spend to help mental illness in our streets, our young people, whether it's our bicycle coalition and roads and all in partnership with nonprofits that Supervisor Fewer is working with me on, or particularly the senior centers and the family centers in your districts that are invaluable. They're all nonprofits that we're funding in the city. And the next 2 years, as I said, $1.2 billion is a heck of a lot. But guess what? It's an increase of $48 million this last year to our nonprofits. That's how valuable they are. And that's in concert and in full agreement with our Board of Supervisors. And in that, the next 2 years, we're going to increase 30 of that 48 million that we did last year. The next 2 years, we're increasing by $39 million because the cost of doing business has gone up, and it's challenged all of our nonprofits so that sometimes they couldn't even afford the kind of challenges they have. So the cost of doing business helps the employees that are part of the network of nonprofits more than survive to be a little more successful. And the reason we're doing this is because, again, the role of nonprofits has evolved from the 60s to today, where they're in literally everything that we think is important to the quality of life in San Francisco. The role of nonprofits has evolved to be a partner in everything that we do. That's how valuable this is. And today with CYC, they're a beneficiary of $2.7 million that we've added, because I asked the Office of Economic and Workforce Development. I'm very proud of the work that the staff is doing there, because they helped me identify some 13 different projects where we can stabilize our nonprofits. Nonprofits are just like government entities. We face rent increases. We face costs of doing these programs are more expensive. Whenever we buy food for meals for seniors, that's become more expensive. And while the federal government appears to want to shrink their responsibility, we want to do even more for our residents, especially at a time when we have the revenues. And so expenditures in helping nonprofits, and I know the two supervisors are going to talk about their favorite areas that I get to work closely with them on, are going to benefit when we have a strong economic foundation for our city. But we get to do this, and I used to work in a nonprofit before I worked for the city. It was called the Asian Law Caucus. And we depended upon a lot of resources from foundations and from the city in order to make sure people didn't face more barriers. And these days, we're all talking about reducing those barriers, even if sometimes they're created by things that we ought not be doing on a national level. So I am very proud of our nonprofit community, proud of this $2.7 additional dollars to help, and for CYC to be able to own a piece of property rather than lease it at the kind of whim of the rental market is incredible. I'm trying to teach every nonprofit, own your own place, figure it out with your board of directors who are out there with us trying to make sure we can talk to people in the market to make sure we own it. And we own every police station and every fire station, and nobody raises the rent there, so we can stay there and be very active in the neighborhood. Why can't it be the same for critical services that our nonprofits provide? They ought not to be evicted when they're doing the great work that we ask them to do and funding that. So this is why I feel very passionate about this. And for CYC, when they can have people like Annie, who's going to speak in a few moments, and I know she's got a career in front of her, she sounds like one of my daughters. International studies, UCLA, going to do some good things. But she also reminds me, because she says she wants to be a lawyer. Well, you know, a lawyer in the nonprofit area, you can eventually become mayor in this city. So I'm proud of the work that CYC is doing here, because they do have a safe place, but also one that's inclusive and can help our youth figure out their paths to success, make sure that They can break forward in a positive way, enter the generational challenges that they might have, use education the best way. And by the way, another arena of nonprofits is our whole education, how we help our youth and our families. It's all dependent, in fact, primarily dependent upon a lot of nonprofit work that people are doing in the community. So this is more than just announcing today's CYC commitment, but it's also in the context of the role that nonprofits play in helping us be the greatest city in the world of San Francisco, and to remind each other that government cannot do all the things that we want to do by itself. But if we can draw the talent directly from our communities and allow them to be successful and be a part of government, then we've got great societies, safer societies, successful neighborhoods, neighborhoods that can speak to every need that we have. And so this is kind of why people want to live in San Francisco, because they want to be associated with people who want to build communities and be a part of this. So congratulations to everybody for presenting the best of your talent and compliment what we're doing in government and to be part of a great city. Congratulations to everybody.
Thank you, Mayor. It's my honor to welcome up District 1 Supervisor Sandra Fior, who is no stranger to nonprofits. I believe you spent a long time as a parent advocate for Coleman Advocates, and is deeply passionate about youth and our communities. Supervisor Fior.
Thank you. So as you can imagine, as a supervisor of the Richmond District, I am absolutely thrilled about this announcement today. I want to thank Mayor Lee for actually having the foresight to see that the nonprofits actually need some help to sustain and grow in our neighborhoods and how important they are. And thank you to OEWD for actually acknowledging the work of CYC and preserving this wonderful gem in my neighborhood. This is so important. I see it not only as nonprofit sustainability, I see it as neighborhood sustainability, because they are so deeply rooted in our neighborhoods. They serve the students. Because I was a school board member for 8 years, I am very familiar with the work of CYC. They serve over 600 of our public students on a daily basis. They fill a niche that the San Francisco School District cannot fill. And so what Mayor, just agreeing with what Mayor Lee says about how this we work all together to serve our communities, but CYC in particular. If I could just spend a minute to talk about the profound work they've done. I was honored at the Board of Supervisors for APA Heritage Month to recognize CYC and their youth for actually reaching out to our merchants about emergency disaster. CYC is not only building leadership and a sense of community, but is about volunteerism. It is about leadership. It is about empowerment. It is giving students, many of them English as a second language, a place where they are comfortable, where they can find themselves and friends, and where they can connect and actually succeed in our public schools. It is a place where I think students can come to talk about issues that maybe they cannot talk to their parents about. It is a second home for these students. And in my neighborhood, they have volunteered at our recent health festival. They are going to be helping with our Autumn Moon Festival. These are students that are not only in this program, but they're also giving back to our community. I can't think of another organization that is as deserving as CYC for this fund to have a permanent home in the Richmond District to continue to serve our population here, which is a high population of Chinese students and their families. And so thank you again, Mayor Lee, and thank you, OEWD. I think and for this wonderful gift, I think not only to all the students, but also to all the residents of the Richmond District, that CYC has a permanent home here and can be permanently placed in the Richmond District and grow and expand their services. And thank you to CYC, their board, and also Sarah Wan, because as exceptional leadership is really the key, I think, to having a nonprofit that is so strong and stable and also so forward-thinking. So thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor. It's my honor to welcome up our next speaker, Supervisor Jeff Sheehy from District 8, who's been a tireless advocate and a fierce and passionate advocate for not just nonprofits, but also HIV/AIDS causes as well as LGBTQ rights. Supervisor Sheehy.
Thank you, Todd. Can you guys hear me? This is a little low. Maybe I can. I have the Scott Wiener problem, my predecessor. But 17%. 17% of San Francisco's workforce works in the nonprofit sector. And they do some of the most challenging and most rewarding work in the city. And they don't do it for the money, they do it for love. And so I'm grateful to the mayor and OEWD for the increase in the cost of doing business. That $39 million is absolutely crucial to the survival and to the thriving of our nonprofit sector. I also think we're all supportive of the funding that you have going forward in the budget, the $1.2 million. I know personally what that sector, the value of that sector. First in education, because my kid is a sixth grader, and so we'll be engaged with the nonprofit sector all summer long as we get programming to keep her busy and actually to help her. It helps her enrich her education by being able to, public school kid, we can get all sorts of nice activities throughout the city. And then I also have, for my community, HIV/AIDS, when that struck our community, it really was the nonprofit sector, along with the Department of Public Health, that really stepped up. At that time, the federal government completely ignored us. So it was that partnership between the city and the Department of Public Health and the community, which we got, let's think about the AIDS walk. I mean, we nickel and dimes, dollars, everything that we could do to fund services to try to stay alive and also to advocate. So that I recognize the incredible value of the nonprofit sector, and it is a major part of our workforce. And one of the things that I'm particularly focused on, and CYC, what a great program, isn't that phenomenal, is youth, especially the youth who are on our streets. And one of the things that you find out when you start to look at tackling a challenging problem like youth homelessness is the importance of the nonprofit sector, of community-based organizations, because they really, because of the way in which they're organized, because they have peers, because they actually engage people from the community that you're trying to reach, they can play such a vital role in bringing in young people who, frankly, have suffered incredible trauma. Many of them are refugees from other parts of America, from other countries, and being able to have someone who is like them, engage them, is so critical in building those bonds of trust so that we can get those young people off the streets and help them continue their lives in a meaningful way. So again, thank you, Mayor Lee, and thank you, Supervisor Feuer. And I'm sure we're united in supporting what the mayor has proposed. And thank you, OEWD.
Supervisor Feuer in her comments talked about leadership and what it means for our youth and raising new leaders in our city. I can think of no better model for our youth to think about when they think about leadership than Sarah Wan. And really, she deserves a lot of credit. This grant, this $700,000 that OEWD is awarding to CYC was highly competitive. There were a number of groups that unfortunately weren't funded for it, but their application was phenomenal, and they put together a great proposal. Sarah Wan's been executive director for 15 years. We're looking forward to the next 15 years. Sarah Wan.
Thank you. First, I would like to thank you, Mr. Mayor, for your support, and also to Supervisor. I think I really, really, truly feel that how city really see nonprofit sector as your partner and really see us eye to eye to how to cares about our community. So I'm truly thankful to all your support. And I'm also definitely very thrilled with Supervisor Lee, how she described CYC service. She's definitely an ambassador of CYC too. So thank you so much for your years-long support. CYC was founded in 1970. The original intent was actually to prevent juvenile delinquency. But for the past 46 years, we have expanded our services to 6 major components, including education, leadership, behavioral health, workforce development, and also community outreach. And we reach over 5,000 youth in San Francisco every year, not including just the youth that we outreach to. We provide services to all high school in San Francisco, 3 middle school, and also 4 elementary school. So we're definitely very, very thrilled to receive this grant to look into our long-term sustainability. Without this support, we would not possible to make our dream come true, to have a permanent home in one of the districts that we would like to service, which have 42% of Asian in Richmond district residing, and also another 50% of Asian residing in Sunset. This center will provide a linguistically and culturally appropriate services to the resident in these 2 neighborhoods, in addition to the service we provide to Citywide and also our Bayview branch offices. So I'm really, truly thankful for this opportunity where we can really help our young people to thrive and also develop their self-sufficiency. The new site, we will hope to develop a career center where people can just walk in and receive job readiness skills, job placement services. We'll have state-of-the-art computer clubhouse where people can access to the 21st century life skill to really achieve their personal goal. So with that, I thank for everyone's support to make our dream come true. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I think you also promised me a boba tea shop in there as well, if I'm not mistaken. Our next speaker is Joanne Lee, who is the Director of Program Consulting for NCCLF. OEWD partnered with the nonprofit sector. We're drinking our own Kool-Aid. We partnered with the nonprofit sector because they frankly knew best how to best support these organizations. And they just celebrated 30 years, I believe, Joanne, in San Francisco 2 days ago. So congratulations, Joanne Lee.
Thank you, Todd. So as many of you know, the real estate market in the Bay Area has been skyrocketing, and community-based organizations throughout are losing their leases and they're being pushed out of their communities. As reported last year in a survey on the status of nonprofit Bay Area spaces commissioned by the Northern California Grantmakers, 82% of nonprofits in the Bay Area are really concerned about the impact of the real estate market on their long-term financial sustainability. And organizations who are serving communities of color and low-income communities are especially impacted. So the nonprofit sector identified ownership of their facilities as a critical option for weathering the challenging real estate market. So NCCLF works throughout the region, and let me tell you, no other city but San Francisco has provided this level of leadership to create programs and devote resources to keep these nonprofits in their cities. San Francisco addressed this crisis head-on, and first by launching the Nonprofit Displacement Mitigation Program and now the Nonprofit Sustainability Initiative. NCCLF is truly proud to partner with Mayor Lee, OEWD, the Office of Housing and Community Development, and the Arts Commission to ensure that our community-based organizations remain in San Francisco. Because our social service organizations, childcare, youth development, arts organizations, they're really great at delivering vital services and creative programming, but they're unfamiliar with space planning, lease and purchase negotiations, and tenant improvement budgets. The knowledge gap, compounded with San Francisco's volatile real estate market, has put these organizations at great risk. Our technical assistance services helps organizations navigate the real estate market and find space that meets their needs. These grant awards are critical in alleviating real estate costs, assisting nonprofits to acquire property, and incentivizing landlords to enter into long-term leases. At a time when federal budget cuts threaten the delivery of our critically needed services, supporting community-based organizations to stay in the neighborhoods where they're needed most and provide security for their clients and staff. These awards will support organizations across our city, from downtown to the Bayview, the Mission, Excelsior, the Tenderloin, the Sunset, and the Richmond. On behalf of NCCLF, I congratulate CYC and the rest of the awardees and thank the city for developing a model program. The Nonprofit Sustainability Initiative ensures that our social services, childcare, youth development, and arts programs continue to serve the residents of San Francisco. Thank you.
Thank you, Joanne. Just to close, there's a number of people that I want to thank because this program took a lot of partnership, and it's been a partnership between the city family as well as the nonprofit community. So I do want to thank, as the mayor mentioned, Tom DeCane, who's the director of the Arts Commission, as well as Brian Chu from the Mayor's Office of Housing and Community Development. The CYC is obviously powered by the incredible talent of their board. I want to particularly recognize their board chair, Jean-Marie Mock, as well as their board members, Victoria Luber and Mayanne Wong and Mary Tsai. NCCLF assembled a pretty incredible team that, in addition to Joanne, under Joanne's leadership, Karen Sullivan and Owen Sarah from NCCLF. Thank you so much for your work. I want to thank Faye Demari, who was a panelist for our sustainability initiative and the founder of the SF Urban Film Festival. Thank you so much for your help on this as well. And then I want to thank and acknowledge the team members from OEWD who led this, Lex Leifheit, who's our nonprofit sector lead, if you could just raise your hand. And Laurel Arvani-Tides, who leads the team, the business development team where Lex works. So that concludes our program, but I believe Annie's going to take us on a tour and to share with the mayor a little bit more. Oh, of course. Okay, please, Annie.
Hi, my name's Annie. I just graduated from Galileo High School, and I will be attending UCLA to pursue law. And a really big a really big decision for this was influenced by CYC, but especially a program called YAWAVE, Young Asian Women Against Violence. And this program has taught me where I stand in society as a woman, and also about the glass ceiling that also restricts a lot of women out there in the world. But it especially taught me how many minorities like me are influenced by these and how they need a lot of help. And that's why I want to be there for them in the future. And CYC has taught me that they need people to help. And through joining these programs, it has made me realize how many people out there in the world don't have these benefits, but despite the socioeconomic status of people, that does not define who you are. Rather, it is what the challenges that you have, the obstacles, you grasp onto them, and that's what motivates you, and that's what allows you to prosper. These does not drag you down, but it is what lifts you up. And this is what CYC has taught me, to not let any obstacle stop me, and to always make me strive for better. And every time I walk into CYC, the staff's encouragement and the support I get is truly invaluable. I think without them, I wouldn't be where I am today. And the memories I made here and also the friends are something I can keep for a lifetime and something that's really special in my heart. I think anybody who joins this program, joins CYC, will really benefit from this program. And this is the best decision I've made in my life. And I'm really grateful for CYC. Thank you so much.
Wow. Let's hear it for the future mayor of San Francisco, Annie Wu. All right, that concludes our program. Thank you all so much for being here today.